Good morning and welcome to today's special webinar. I'm Aaron Gillette, Marketing Director at TownNews. It's been an interesting couple of weeks, typical for many of us, so we thought that now would be a good time to share some ideas from the TownNews team for serving your audience and generating revenue during the coronavirus pandemic. We'll talk about how to quickly build a high-traffic special section to cover breaking news with Block CMS, leveraging the TownNews Content Exchange Network to augment your local coronavirus coverage with nationwide content, using subscription rules to disable your paywall or meter for specific sections of your site, hosting virtual business and career fairs to strengthen ties to your community and grow revenue, and using programmatic advertising and the expertise of the IQ AdOps team to generate incremental revenue from breaking news traffic spikes. At TownNews, we have experts in all these areas on staff, and you'll hear from many of them today. This webinar is being recorded. It will be posted to our website by Monday, and we'll send out an email link when it's available. You can type questions into the chat box, and we'll answer them at the end. Before we get started, our CEO, Brad Ward, wanted to say a few words.
Good morning, and thank you all for joining us on this special webinar. I'm Brad Ward, CEO of TownNews. We know this is a scary time for our partners with this unprecedented disruption to our daily lives and economy. Our mission at TownNews has always been to help our customers survive and thrive, and we feel that now more than ever. So we challenge our team to come up with some ideas that can help you improve your coverage, help you monetize the additional traffic you are seeing, and share some new revenue ideas. Across our network, we are seeing large traffic increases. Page views this week are double what they were a year ago and up 50% week over week. We have more than enough excess server and network capacity to handle the traffic needs should traffic continue to spike, and we are closely monitoring it. I also want to assure everyone that should our office have to close due to a lockdown, we are ready. A majority of our staff have been working from home this week to help limit any potential exposures. Should it become necessary to close the office, we are prepared to have everyone work from home. And with that, we'll get into it, and I'll turn everything over here to Tim Turner.
Thanks, Brad. My name is Tim Turner. I'm the Director of Content and Data Services at TownNews. In that role, I help our customers with content strategies and running the content exchange, and I also help them with their paywalls through our new Audience Plus program. So as we've been monitoring our traffic and how users are reacting to coverage and working with our partners to understand how they're covering this crisis, one of the key areas that users are really turning to is local coverage and trying to understand the impact of this crisis to their local communities. They also are interested in understanding how this crisis is impacting the state and also the national government. And that's really where TownNews can help you supplement your coverage and what you're doing locally. As we talk to our partners, we just want to remind you some good tips for how to maximize your local coverage. When you're writing headlines with local content, make sure to include your city or state name in all local stories, and remember to also include the words coronavirus or COVID-19. This will help users who are searching for content through search engines like Google or Bing find the content that they need for their daily lives. Another thing to remember is to tag all your content with the keyword coronavirus. This will help users who are searching your website find the content they're looking for. It will also help our content exchange team find the content and push it to our regional and national channels to be shared across the entire country. Another thing we also want to encourage customers to do, because there's so much content being produced, when you are writing a new article, make sure that you're linking off to previous coverage. We're also adding coverage as inline child or sibling assets to content. This will just help you further direct users to the content that's most relevant to them, and that's tied to the content that they're currently reading. Another thing that's really important to do in this time is to understand what your users' concerns are and what they care about. One of our partners, Lee Enterprises, rolled out a Google survey study, a house study yesterday, to try to understand what their customers were concerned about as they continue to cover this crisis. This is something that TownNews can help you do, setting up a Google Surveys account and deploying this so you can ask your users what they're concerned about and what they need more information about. Just some examples of the questions they ask, what are your biggest concerns? And you can see how their customers responded. And this deck will be shared, so if you want to look at this data more closely, you'll have access to that later. And they also wanted to know who their users were most worried about. And Lee was very gracious in sharing the early results of this, and it'll be interesting to see as more users fill out the survey what the responses are. And like I said, if any of you want to set up surveys for yourself, please reach out to TownNews, and we'll help you do that. Another way to kind of find out what your users are interested in is using Google Trends. So if you go to trends.google.com, you can search for any keyword, for example, coronavirus, really drill down into your local region, and then you can see what related topics people are searching for in relation to coronavirus. This might allow you to get ahead of your users' concerns and what they need you to write about to help inform your community. TownNews is also aggregating content from all over the country into different state verticals. This is something that we've done for a long time. And with our semantic analysis technology, we're already keyword tagging the content with keywords coronavirus and COVID. So this makes it really easy for us to help our customers find content related to their local region. So if you're interested in getting a new importer set up to download your state content coverage on coronavirus, our team is standing by. We'll help you build out the importers, and we'll tag that content however you want and flow it to the right section on your website. Like I said, this is already ready to go. Most of the states have coverage. So if you're curious about this, please reach out to us immediately, and we can get this set up for you. Another thing that our team is doing is expanding how we're curating content. We rely a lot on our technology to help us curate content at scale, but we also have several people on staff who are content experts who've worked in the media industry and who consult with our customers on a regular basis to understand what is important. And so we're actually finding the most important coverage from across the country, and we're tagging that into a special curated section. If you search the Content Exchange channel, you'll see a /coronavirus section tag now. That content is our curated team's content for what we're seeing as the most important content. We're also keyword tagging it with this super long, convoluted keyword, but that helps us make sure that it doesn't intermingle with any other content. So if you search for that keyword that's on this deck, TNCN-COVID-19-featured, this will also kind of get you that same content. This will also allow us to better filter this content for blogs and newsletters once we import that content on your site. Our team will also help you set up a national importer for this content so that you can bring this content into your site as well. And so as you look at how you structure the content on your domains and in your special sections, we're really encouraging you to have your local coverage front and center, and then also using the regional and national coverage to supplement what you're doing. TownNews team will also be putting together a daily collection. This collection will be a continuously updated source of the most important trends. So throughout the day, as new articles break, we'll be updating that collection so that you'll have one source of continuous coverage of the most important headlines that are going on for this important story. Another thing to consider, as people are stuck at home and they're forced to adopt new roles that they never considered. They're now teachers, they're home cooks, they're doing things they haven't done before. What type of content can we create to help them? And we're seeing a lot more at-home content to really, help people stay busy, to keep their minds off things and help them adapt to their new roles. So we definitely want to encourage our partners to think about that as well. Beyond coronavirus, what type of content are people looking for? And I know some of our local partners have put together content strategies, and any of that content that we can share across the Content Exchange network, we'll be doing that as well. So you should start seeing a lot more content flowing into our /homes vertical. So some of that content will be evergreen content that you can leverage as more of your users are stuck at home. Another great thing to do is to create a special section to aggregate this content. To get into more details about how you can do this, I'm going to hand it over to Christine Masters to talk about.
Thank you, Tim. I'm Christine Masters, the Director of Block CMS here at TownNews, and I'm going to go over the best ways to create a special URL to kind of consolidate all of this content into one specific location that helps you with coverage. First off, when there's big breaking news where users will keep coming back to your site for additional information and updates over time, it is a good idea to create a special section URL to put all of this stuff together into one place to help them find that information. To do this, you can create a new URL for your site using our URL manager. You can choose to create that URL inside of another section or by itself. For example, you could create something like special/coronavirus or health/coronavirus. This makes the URL slightly longer, but it ensures that your URL map is more organized, or you can choose to just choose something like coronavirus, which will make it shorter. It's up to you how you want to do that. Ideally, you want to ensure that the URL stays the same for the lifetime of the topic that you're covering. This way, it gains SEO over time as it is referenced again and again as people use it throughout the internet. However, if you need to change the URL at some point, maybe the topic shifts to a new name or it expands into another category, you can create a new URL, just make sure to redirect it to the old one. And you can use the new one when you're referencing it, but just redirect it. Next, it is good practice to create a compelling graphic to add it to the page. This helps identify the topic and creates a better eye-catching design. In our recent blog post called How to Rapidly Build a Special Section for Breaking News Coverage, we went into greater detail on how to do this with links to the relevant documentation, so be sure to check that out. It's on our website currently. As for the design and layout of the page itself, you can choose whatever grid layout you feel works best to present your content. Just remember to double check to make sure how it looks on the mobile platform, as that is the way that most of your users are viewing this content. And lastly, I would urge you to take a look at our card updates block as a way to show the most frequently updated stories in a particular topic. This block specifically queries our database in the background, and when there is new content, it adds a flag to the page that shows that there are new stories. So it does that dynamically without having the user having to refresh the page. This way, the user can click on the flag when they're ready to see that new information, and the block itself refreshes to show that additional information. Now that you've created a new section with your breaking news content, it is important to promote that URL and use it as much as possible to drive traffic back to the page and essentially build SEO of that URL over time. Make sure to promote this on air if you're a broadcaster, online on each of the stories that are related to this topic, and in print if you have a print product. Also make sure that you have a strategy to build awareness for this URL in social media. Use it in every post that you make about this particular topic. And it's a really good idea to email important partners, such as sources that you've interviewed, educational resources about this topic, maybe government contacts or anyone that you've spoken to in the course of reporting, and ask them to actually promote this URL and use it whenever they tweet or post about the story as well. And speaking of those same resources and partners, make sure that you know their Twitter accounts and include them in the tweet about that topic as well. They might even retweet you, which helps spread awareness of your URL to a new audience. Along those same lines, you might consider creating a new newsletter or a new notification topic that focuses content around this big breaking news. You can create a sign-up block, such as the one that we see on the page here, that allows users to get notifications around that topic specifically. Our email optimization program can help you with this if you need it. Just make sure to contact our customer support team for more information and they can help you out. Next, I'm going to go ahead and pass this off to Phil, who is going to walk through some revenue ideas that may be helpful.
Thanks, Christine. Yeah, I'm Phil Prox. I'm a regional sales manager here at TownNews. But prior to that, for about 6 years, I was a product manager for our marketplace and business directory product. And I have just a few examples of what you can do with those products to kind of leverage and obviously help businesses who are struggling more now than ever. This is an excellent opportunity to reconnect with some of those local small businesses who are, yes, struggling or are nervous that they may have to close their doors, or they're not sure if they're going to get as much traffic due to self-quarantine. But let's head right into what I want to call it the virtual career fair. This is a great opportunity for you to reach out to any of those businesses. This is the springtime coming. You've got, perhaps you've already launched or you've already participated in a physical career fair, but now you can take that online and host any one of these business directory listings as essentially a virtual booth for any of these employers, where information about the company can obviously be found and help connect any of those job seekers with job providers. This is an example vertical. You have top jobs. You have a portion of that site that's kind of dedicated to any sponsored paid job listings. You have obviously the rest of the classifieds job search, as well as if you have like a newsletter, you can easily pair and allow folks to sign up to receive alerts when new job listings are posted. And of course, you have the content exchange or value-added content. That's a great opportunity to provide even more additional content like career advice as well as on this vertical. And then, of course, you can also allow folks to submit any job postings via forms or on Block's Ad Owl. Any of these businesses can, of course, have a form dedicated to them to allow readers to submit their resume if you wanted to be able to do that and connect those readers that way. But just know that there's an opportunity there to allow you to have this and take this virtually versus to having anything on site or kind of in person. Another one we have is We're Open Directory. So a lot of businesses are out there and a lot of folks are not even aware that they're even open or are struggling to find out what's going to be available to me now. So this is a great opportunity to feature all of these businesses, grocery stores, dentists, service repairs, hardware stores, pharmacies, all of which can be kind of housed within this one dedicated page, all consisting of each of these kind of broken down all kind of by category. And of course, you can feature them and allow any of these businesses to kind of explain more information about what's available to them. This is a great opportunity to also kind of showcase if they're accepting any online orders or delivery. The next vertical is a great opportunity as well. Our restaurant local eats to go. All of these verticals, by the way, have these graphics at the top that we're happy to provide you. And as well as that, I'm going to extend any of my efforts during this time to help you launch any one of these specifically. But for this one, this is a Takeout Directory. So local eateries can, of course, still claim their business directory, but then at that point, they can update their hours. If they have special hours that's changed, of course, they can come in there and change those now. They can update a new menu if it's changed at all, and of course, update their logo. They are able to, of course, upsell their business to be featured. This is, again, included as part of business directory. But that this specifically highlights any of those businesses that are affected by that temporary closure or dining closures for carryout or specifically for delivery. Uber Eats or any other third party that you might have, this could be a great opportunity to actually mention where they can go to help support these local businesses who are struggling. If you have any featured coupons that may be print or digital, or if you're accepting anything from any of these businesses, businesses can actually come in and they can update and create their own coupons directly on this that can help kind of generate more traffic to those businesses. But just let you know, after this, these three verticals are just a few examples. If you have ideas, let me know. But you can contact me. You can find me on TownNews website, and you can contact me if you want to launch any one of these specifically. Again, this requires business directory. If you're not already participating with that, let us know or let your local regional sales rep know. But this is a great opportunity to really help those struggling businesses kind of get some additional eyeballs and some traffic if they can possibly get it. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan Tornquist to talk about some programmatic advertising.
Thanks, Phil. Hi, my name is Ryan Tornquist, and I'm the Programmatic Manager for TownNews. It's been a week since the coronavirus pandemic really started to impact the U.S., and traffic and programmatic KPIs are up significantly as a result. Some of the traffic and revenue highlights from the last week include page views being up by 50%, unique page views up by 42%, programmatic revenue has been up by 30% over the previous week, and we're seeing an increase in ad requests 42% or higher. Due to this disruption of daily routines, we have seen a large increase in mobile traffic and impressions. Mobile is up significantly, and over the last week accounted for 67% of the impression volume. This volatile period has created the need for us to make pricing rule and stack adjustments multiple times per day to ensure we are maximizing yield and revenue for all of our client sites. If you don't have a dedicated person or team examining this daily, there's a good chance you'll be leaving money on the table. Our programmatic team is standing by and is available to onboard clients quickly so you can fully capitalize on the programmatic revenue opportunity during this period of time when growing other revenue channels may prove challenging. That completes the programmatic update that we have, and I'm going to pass it over to Tim Turner for an update on our paywall strategy.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. So probably the first thing that we saw our customers respond with when this story was starting to break was immediately taking down their paywalls. You know, as a source of information in the community, it's really important, you know, that users have access to that information. However, we did want to let customers know that you don't have to take down your entire paywall to give users access to your coronavirus coverage. There are several different ways that you can do that. We can simply edit if we have a specific section that all the content is behind, we can just edit the rules for that section so that only that content is in front of the paywall. You can also set a subscription bypass rule on individual articles. If you're not doing a lot of coverage, it's a few articles per day, that might be an easy method, especially if you're not tagging everything to /coronavirus section. And another huge thing that you can do during this time, even if you're taking down your entire paywall, is you can still solicit voluntary subscriptions. And we've seen members of other communities respond positively to that. I was working with a customer the other day, and they said they had a user say, "Oh, now that all the content's free, I'm glad to purchase a subscription," which seems kind of like you know, a weird strategy, but it's something that people are really, you know, reacting to and want to support their local community. And just because we disable the rule profiles to give people access, you can still sell a subscription package at this time. So one thing we've done is we can create a block that shows up at the bottom of all your free content and on your homepage that just tells people, hey, we're providing this coverage for free, but we still really need your support during this time as well, and then link them off to your subscription page so that they can purchase a subscription to your local newspaper, whether it's print or online only. So we really want to encourage you to think about still soliciting subscriptions at this time, even if you are taking down your paywall.
Thank you, everybody.
Right.
That was really great information. At this time, we'll take questions from anyone who has them. Can type them into the question box. We've already gotten quite a few questions, and many of them are related to who needs to be contacted to get some of this stuff set up. So first of all, our CS team, our customer support team, is standing by to help you with any of these items that we've discussed in the webinar. With regard specifically to the directories, the Takeout Directory, the job opening directory, etc., Phil Proct is actually going to take the lead on assisting with those, and you can reach out to Phil directly. His contact information is on the website, but you can also reach him at pproct, that's PRACHT @townnews.com. So you can contact him directly for that. I'm going to start working through the questions here. They're coming in fast. So first of all, a comment from a member of the audience. The keywords that you mentioned when tagging up your coronavirus-related content, they say are being flagged and hidden by some algorithms. They're trying to use synonyms or more vague language when sharing to social media. I have heard there was a bug recently with Facebook where Facebook was incorrectly getting rid of coronavirus content. But would anyone in the TownNews office care to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously as you look at the various channels that users can come to your site, and you know, as Facebook and other social media try to prevent the spread of false information and news, that they're going to be, you know, reacting to some things and maybe negatively impacting some of that traffic. However, we still think that it's very important that you correctly communicate what the coverage is about so that users can find that through your other acquisition channels, and then allow media companies and other people that are working with Facebook and those other social media providers to correct the issue to make sure that true local media coverage is not negatively impacted by these changes. And I know it's something that they're, it's a difficult challenge for them to address, and I know they're working on it. But I don't think it should change our strategy. Because search and organic search and direct traffic relies on having accurate information assigned to the content.
Okay. A question about locating content in the Content Exchange network. How would I find TownNews stories on Pennsylvania? Would I search tag_keyword:states/Pennsylvania?
Yeah, so all the content that's organized by state, we have in a /state/the state name, so /Pennsylvania. There's a section tag hierarchy. We'll re-release and send out a blog post that we have about finding content, but you can also reach out to us and we'll work with you on showing you how to do it, and we'll even set up the importers and everything for you to find the content, or create a save search for you so that when you go into syndication, you can just click on that save search, depending on how you want to get the content onto your site. So there's a lot of different ways, but if you have any questions about how to find content on the Content Exchange, definitely reach out to customer support, and we can work with you one-on-one. So yeah, you have a good method of finding that content that works for you and your workflow.
A question about the job openings board. We're hearing that business owners are looking to lay off workers. I'm not sure if asking them to pay for job openings would make sense and get a good reception right now. Phil, can you comment on that at all?
Yeah, layoffs are kind of inevitable. Getting them to pay for it, it's an option that you have, obviously, for yourself. If you want to make them free, or if you want them to pay for it, it's really up to you. At this time, there's opportunity to make it free. A lot of these things are going to exist, these verticals. So between the virtual career fair, as well as the takeout guides, all of these are meant to kind of exist as evergreen content. So you can actually continue having these. And maybe for a brief while, maybe for the next couple months or so, any of these postings are going to be free. So kind of consider that as you kind of launch any of these things, however you'd like to. Obviously, these are kind of revenue ideas, but this is long-term revenue as well as short-term revenue ideas as well. So kind of consider that as you begin thinking about how you want to launch any one of these things, especially that virtual career fair, how you want to take it out to get as much acceptance and kind of play as nice as possible to a lot of the community as you can.
And I think that there's a couple other cases that to look at as well. For example, if you already had a scheduled event of some kind, maybe it's a bridal fair or a job fair, anything like that, and you want to try to continue either in portion or in full that event, a virtual fair or a virtual event is a great way to do that with the business directory. So that's one thing to think about. And in addition, be really, like Phil said, be really responsive to your community. There are some places, I just heard about Domino's hiring 10,000 workers. There might be in this age some particular businesses that are looking to either change their workforce or hire a new workforce to meet certain types of needs. So that's another thing to look for in your community and be responsive to that as well.
Thank you. Regarding the directories, do we have to have the business directory in order to set them up?
Yes, yeah, you'll need the business directory in order to have any of those kind of, either the business booths that we call for the virtual career fair, or any of those business directory listings that are going to allow any business owners to come in and claim them, or provide deep links to call to order, make any orders for delivery. All of those are kind of consistent and features of the business directory itself. Not to say that you couldn't create perhaps an article that consists of a list of businesses that may be open, but the business directory is where you're going to be able to ideally leverage some of that revenue from any of those businesses, those local SMBs that are needing a bit of help right now.
Yeah, and if you're interested in the business directory, please reach out to your regional sales manager to discuss that, and they can fill you in on the details. A couple of questions about the deck and the recording. Will we be sending out the deck and the recording? We will. We'll be processing the recording immediately following the webinar, and we'll do our best to get the webinar up on the website by the end of the day today. And we will send out an email to this list when the webinar recording is available. A question about bypassing the paywall. We are using a section bypass option, but we noticed that we have to place the free section first on the list in the article asset. What I'm noticing is that I have to continue letting the newsroom know to follow this rule, but something to consider. If the free section is placed on the list, would it be possible to make it so that it will bypass the paywall even if the section is not the first on the list?
Yeah, if you create a ticket in customer support, we can handle that. We have an experimental setting that we've used for some other customers that might allow us to do that. So please submit a ticket to customer support and we'll work with you on that specifically.
Okay. What's the easiest way to create a block to solicit subscriptions to only appear on stories that are not behind the paywall?
Can you say that one more time?
What is the easiest way to create a block to solicit subscriptions to only appear on stories that are not behind the paywall? So the subscription request would only appear on stories that are not behind a paywall.
So the only way that we can truly do that is if all that content was tagged to a specific section, and then on that section we would add the block to a utility region or somewhere else on the section page that inherits down to the article. So, but all the content would have to be tagged to a specific section for that to really work.
Okay. A question about the We're Open page. Does each of those blocks have to be created separately? We're very shorthanded and information is changing hourly. So right now we have our page as a list, but I had called about setting it up like you show. It seems that with the amount of entities, listings, is there an easier way to update? What are my options?
Yeah, so each of those blocks that I've created are pulling in the specific category, and that's based on what's automatically already generated to a business. So if they're in the dining or restaurant, it's going to automatically appear in a restaurant category block. So there's nothing that you'd have to do to pull it in physically once you set up the query rules. Again, this is something that I can help with. So just contact me. If you'd like it to be that way, I can help you with that. If you would prefer it be just one page full of all of these businesses that are currently open, you can approach it that way too. My approach with having these individually categorized is to just make it easier for the reader to be able to consume and digest, where they want to be able to go and how they should be able to choose and plan their day or evening.
Okay. I would like more specific detail on creating a special section online that pulls in all of our coronavirus local content and pulls in national and regional as well.
I think that one thing that you can do.
Go ahead, Christine.
I'm sorry. Look for our the blog post that we did, I think yesterday, that we actually go into really specific detail on how to set one up, how to set up the URL, different blocks you can use, even the custom properties to make the blocks look like they do in our example. I don't know if Aaron, if you can tell them the best place to find that, but in the main story that we posted yesterday, it's referenced in that story as well. So that's one really great place to look for that. And then I'll hand it off to you, Tim.
I just shared that link. My apologies.
Sorry,
I just shared that link. Go ahead and check in the chat box. I shared the link to that article with the entire audience. But continue, Tim. Sorry.
Yeah, and as always, I know we keep saying this, but if you reach out to our customer support team, they'll direct you to somebody that can help you get those pages built out, set up the blocks the way you want them. We're here to help. We're redirecting our resources to be available to help you guys implement any of the things that we talked about today. We know it's really important that we help you at this time. So if there's anything you want to do that you feel like you can't do on your own, feel free to reach out. We're here to help you. We'll get that set up for you. So.
And we're very happy to share even the graphics that we used on our example page. If you're short on people to build graphics or things like that, feel free to use the graphics that we use. They're free to use. The coronavirus picture itself is also free to use, so feel free to copy those. And like Tim said, just send us a job ticket to our customer support team, and they can help you even share those blocks and those graphics with you as well.
Okay, thank you. Can you tell me what type of block the Post and Courier is using to promote its free COVID-19 coverage and call for subscriptions in the example shown earlier? Can this block be pinned to the top of our homepage?
I can try to tackle that really quick. There's a couple of different blocks that are good to use for creating messages. There's one called the, I think it's just called the utility message block that can be used at the very top of the page that kind of creates a good flag across the top. There's actually a region called the Global Skyline region that is a really great place to create a message that'll be at the very top. So that's, and then there's a couple other ones called, there's another one called text block, a text message block that you can use to add additional detail and create like a button link, and that is a great way to add those as well. I can actually go into that special section for breaking news article and add a couple of those examples as well. I think that's a great idea.
For advertising the special section on our homepage, what is the best block for adding a graphic and a link?
I would say there's two different blocks that you can look at. One is the utility message block that would be great for creating something like that. I would also talk about the utility image file block. That's a great block in order to create a kind of a promo graphic on the front page. That's what I used to create the coronavirus header for the example page that I built. I'll also just mention very quickly that when you're uploading the graphic itself, there's a new option that's available called uploading it from the media library. When you use the uploading from a media library option, it will let you actually save that particular image file into the media library. And the benefit of that is that that specific file doesn't become searchable on the front end. So people don't search for coronavirus and they end up with like a weird image graphic as part of their search results. This way it's just stored as an asset in the system, but not something that's searchable on the front end. So that's something as well that is a good option to use in this situation.
Okay. We already set up a coronavirus section and a pop-up banner asking people to sign up for the newsletter. Can we add a second pop-up for the Takeout Directory?
Yeah. So each of those pop-ups can actually exist independently on each URL in each section. So we could set up a separate pop-up promo as long as it's not going to interfere with that coronavirus promotion block. We can have it appear obviously on any other section page or on obviously the Takeout Directory page as well. But if you're talking about whether or not you have a coronavirus block on your homepage and you also want to have a Takeout Directory sign-up block on your homepage as well, those two may conflict unless you're using something like the IQ Engage program, which is able to determine who's involved with this or who's already signed up with this particular newsletter and who's not signed up with this particular newsletter. So we can target that way, but it is possible to set up those if you'd like. But specifically for the Takeout Directory and on the homepage of the Takeout Directory, you can set up a new newsletter block that's going to alert them to sign up for any new alerts if you'd like.
And I would also mention that if you're using our utility promo designer block, that block is specifically aware of other instances of itself on the page. And so if there are two cases of that particular block on the page, it makes sure that there's only one that ever pops up at one time. So it doesn't have a situation where you have two pop-ups, which is terrible. And so, that way, like Phil said, if you're using audience targeting to target specific users with one type and specific users for another, if there are cases of overlap, the block itself will handle those conflicts and make sure that there's never two. The first one that it finds on the page is prioritized, and then it will just show that first block.
Okay. Is there a way for blocks to automatically keyword tag wire stories we get in our Associated Press syndication stream?
So a lot of the AP stuff should already have keyword tags applied to it. We don't run our own semantic analysis on AP stories automatically. That's the way the software is engineered. If you want to keyword tag the AP content with our semantic analysis, you'll have to use the manual keyword tag wand. So when you click on the keywords for an article, there's a suggest button. If you click on that, it'll suggest the icons. And it's also possible if you're importing the content through an importer in our syndication software, which is probably the most likely the way you're doing this. If you filtered your search results down to just coronavirus, on the importer, we can set it to apply keyword tags like coronavirus automatically. It won't do like a semantic analysis, but you can tag all the content from that importer with specific keyword tags if you know it's specific to that topic.
Thanks, Tim. Let's see, just lost my place. Is there a way to remove ads from your coronavirus page or rearrange the ads just on that page so that it is more user-friendly? Right now, all of our ads are run of site. Do we have to change that to on each of the pages to make it happen, or is there an easier way?
Well, I think, Christine, do you want to talk a little bit about kind of the block settings related to kind of ads in general, or?
Yeah, so one way to do this would be, especially if you have everything going into a specific section. So if you have a, / coronavirus section, and that can also be, where you're sending, as Tim mentioned, when you're pulling in things through an importer, you can automatically section tag all of those coronavirus related articles into that section. That's also a good way to make sure that that section is free if you wanted to take it outside of the paywall. And then thirdly, you can go into that URL in the block editor and actually change settings related to advertising specific to that section. And you can, if you wanted to change, so you could disinherit a specific ad region in order to remove certain ads if you wanted to, or you could add a new ad, like maybe you wanted a less certain types of ads, small ads, for example, and then just have one or two big ads or different strategies that you might be interested in trying. That can be done on a section basis. So that's another reason why it's a good example to filter everything into a specific section, and then you can change how you're doing advertising or your advertising strategy or your subscription strategy for that specific section.
Okay, the questioner responded, I tried that, some of them are grayed out. Do I have to change the page itself to a different skin?
No, when it's grayed out like that, it's usually because it is inheriting from a section above it. So there's actually a toggle in there to disinherit it from its sections above. And then when you disinherit, then it becomes active and you can delete the blocks or change around the blocks inside of that. And if you have more questions about that, please submit a ticket to our customer support and they can definitely help you with that specific issue for sure.
Thank you. We have article templates in the CMS that we duplicate for some of our breaking news stories like live streams. These templates are already populated with some info we use each time. Will the breaking flag break the cache for these duplicated stories in the same way it will for newly created assets?
Yeah, the breaking news flag will, it shortens the cache time as long as it's on the front page and as long as it has that breaking news flag on it. So yes, it definitely works that way. And that is a great thing to mention. I'm not sure if we've mentioned that in the past. We do have a specific strategy around fast breaking news, and there's certain flags. I think it's the breaking news flag, alert flag, urgent flag. When used on the front page, causes both the page to break cache faster, as well as that particular block, as well as that particular story. So all of those things consolidated and used on the front page is a really good way to ensure that you're getting the fastest content out there on the front page as possible. And that's a great strategy to mention. That's in our help docs. If you search for, I think, breaking news in our help site, it has more information about that as well. But that's a great thing to point out. Thank you.
The questioner followed up and said, just to be clear, this works for duplicated items, correct?
Correct. As long as they still have that breaking news flag on them.
Okay. How do we use the subscription _ bypass option on an article?
Yeah, so, and I know we're not sharing our screen, so you'll just have to bear with us, but when you are on an article asset, there is an Other tab, and if you click on the Other tab, there is a little thing for custom properties, and if you add for the name subscription _ bypass, and then for the value true, that will make that story in front of the paywall. And if you need us to go over that with you one-on-one, feel free to reach out. And we'll try to gather a lot of these questions if we have help docs and consolidate that and provide that as a resource to everybody on the call.
Thank you, Tim. It looks like that's it for the questions right now. Feel free to still type in a question as we wrap up here, and we'll answer it if we can. For help with any of this stuff, any of the things we've discussed, please reach out to our customer support team at 800-293-9576, or visit support.townnews.com, and you can start a ticket there. Documentation for all of these items is available on help.blockcms.com. Our partner community is a great place to swap ideas, and that is at community.townnews.com. And for service status, you can check out townnews.status.io and subscribe to service updates. And of course, we offer a wide variety of newsletters and announcements that you can sign up for by visiting townnews.com/news. For the business directory, please feel free to reach out to your salesperson to discuss business directory. Phil Proct, as we mentioned, will be directly handling the setup of those directories that we talked about, and he can be reached at pprocht, that's PPRACHT @townnews.com. And our contact information is, of course, available on the website. Just go to townnews.com and click Contact Us, and all of the specific contact information is there. So anyway, that is it. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us, and thanks so much to the team for putting together these great tips and tricks for tackling the coronavirus epidemic. Team, are there any last words you would like to leave the webinar with?
No, thank you guys for putting this together. Oh, sorry. Just real quick, thanks everybody for attending this on such short notice, and thanks to the team for pulling this all together.
Yeah. Stay safe, everyone.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Stay safe, stay well. Yep.
Thank you. We'll talk to you next time.